and welcome again to Just One Question. This is Neelakshi Sengupta, and as promised, I do have a new guest with us today. She trained in radio and television with the BBC London and returned to India to become one of the leading newscasters and television hosts. Many would remember her as the gorgeous English newsreader at 8 p.m. on Mumbai Doordarshan, a theatre and film actor, writer, casting director, and a distinguished social icon. We have with us today the one and only Dolly Thakur. Hi Dolly, keen to know about your journey. Shall we start with the story of the applause of childhood that still reverberates in your ears?
I've said this often. My journey started when I was 5 years old in the theatre. My father was in the Air Force, and there was one of these Air Force functions for Republic Day or Independence Day or something, and I was playing Krishna. Now, please let me tell you that was 70 years ago. And I was playing Krishna, and the curtain opened, and I took my first step, and my sari opened up. And of course, then the curtain came down, and all the ladies rushed and pinned me up again. And when the curtain opened, a huge applause went up. But that applause has never left my ears. Since then, I've always wanted applause. And I was hooked on theatre, not just theatre in acting, but I took part in debates, elocution contests, inter-class, inter-college, inter-university, all India. I took part in all the youth festivals that were held, where I met Pandit Nehru, everything that required one to be on stage, I was there. And my generation of people were all those people who now have retired, but they were Montek Singh Ahluwalia, if anybody knows him, or N.P. Singh, Aftab Seth, and these were all ambassadors in various parts of the world. So it's been the education and the places that I went to and the exposure I got gave me all this.
An amazing start towards a glorious career, Dolly. Little did you know then what all was waiting ahead to be achieved. How was it ahead? College days particularly? There would be so many anecdotes from there too. Want to share some?
And when I was in Miranda House, Delhi, I got the opportunity of acting in a play. Now that's another interesting story. I had come from Kanpur, which was a small town, and my roommate was a very beautiful general's daughter, and who spoke French brilliantly, and she wrote in French all the time. And the Miranda House annual play was a huge big thing. That was the event of the city, of the university, and that was announced. And of course I didn't even go for auditions because I had acted in school plays and college plays and things. And but my friend said, can you come and deliver something to me at such and such time? So I went there, and very timidly I said, Miss, can I please deliver this to, and she looked at me and she said, do you act? And that was a lady called Krishna Isalov, who was the head of the or tutor of the English department in Miranda House. So, well, as I said, when I went in, she said, do you act? And all the teachers in Miranda House at that time spoke like that, you see. And I said, yes, miss. And she threw the script at me and said, read. And the play was A Rape of the Belt by Ben Levy. And she asked me to play Antioche, which was the main lead in the thing. And she turned to my roommate and said, thank you very much. Dolly will do the part. You can imagine how embarrassing it was for me at that moment, because she was my best friend, and Miranda House was new to me. I hardly knew anyone, so you were very close to the few people that you had picked on.
Gosh, a tricky moment indeed. Did you do the play finally?
I acted in the play, and I played the lead, and guess who played with me? Amitabh Bachchan. And Amitabh Bachchan was thin little weak guy, and he played Zeus, and he was in fact not even on stage. He was in one of the boxes below the stage, and I played Antioche. And since then, of course, it gave me a lot of confidence.
What an amazing story, Dolly. Eager for more. What did you do after college?
Then I went to London. I went and worked with the BBC. And there I met people like Zora Sehgal and Saeed Jaffrey, and I acted with all of them in London. But those were again all casual things.
But valuable memories nonetheless. When did you get back to India?
I returned to Bombay in 1969, and well, I mean, if you're interested in theatre, I'd already acted in a few plays in Bombay for people like Arun Sachdev, and then the only thing that I could do was advertising. So I joined advertising, and advertising meant Alec Padamsee. So I joined the ad club that I was invited to. Remember, at that time, women coming from abroad who had worked with the BBC, who had done things, were very limited. So you were greatly in demand. And I mean, I also have an ego, and of course I loved it. And I was invited to be on the lunch committee, which was supposed to be quite salubrious. And I met Alec Padamsee there. And then he and I acted in a lot of plays. The first play that I ever did with him was a play called Meera, written by Gurcharan Das. And then I did Birthday Party, which was done in his mother's drawing room in Kulsum Terrace. And through him I met all the theatre biggies. I had heard of Alec Padamsee when I was in Delhi, but I'd never met him. And then I know that even when I was in London, he and Pearl are supposed to have visited London at the time that I was there, but they were not as big as they ultimately became, and I never got to meet them there. But and since then, theatre has been my life.
And it has been a beautiful, creative and fruitful one. I'm sure my audience wants to know more, and so do I. Many more questions await you, Dolly. I will be back soon. This is Neelakshi Sengupta signing off from Just One Question for now. Thank you for listening in.